What's up, traders? I honestly don't know how many separate trades I took. Not even going to bother. Don't really feel like making this video, but I'm going to make this video because it's kind of what I do. Not even going to probably go in order. Just going to do it from over here. RIVN, pretty standard trade. Got the move up, got short, covered halfway down, ended up going way further. Got to that previous resistance. Yeah. PayPal, PYPL, same thing. Went up, got a nice little short. Came back down, got about half the move, went down, tested that previous resistance. Who would have thought? OSH, same thing. Big move. Obviously, previous resistance much lower on this one. I believe I went pretty small size on this one because it was, I thought it was maybe a halt, but it wasn't. Oh, it was the volume. The volume was kind of crap on this one. So took a starter, got about half the move. It did try to go higher, but ultimately ended up coming down even further, and it's still going. BILI. Kind of an interesting one. Previous resistance right around this area. Went up, made a nice little move up through 27. Believe we ended up taking some off. Yeah, we took some off, went higher, and pretty much added all that back, basically saying if it went through the highs, we were done. It didn't, came back down, and we scaled out of this one. Most of our shares here, and then we got some finalized shares over here for a pretty decent trade. And then the next trade was AKAM. Not really going to get too much into this, but as you can see, previous resistance all the way down here at 90. Made a pretty crazy move. We started this pretty early, pretty small too. We only took 20 shares of this to start at 92. And as you can see, we added way too quick. It seems to always be our problem on ones that do this. I'm thinking we could have avoided at least as big of a loss. I don't really think there's any reality where we don't end up cutting this where we did. It still went up, didn't pull back, went sideways, and then went higher. So we're going to be cutting it here regardless. I'm a little mad at myself for how much size we had when we were at this point. We had already had like I think on this cut here, it was like 300 and some, it's like 340 or whatever realized loss. So to make that work, when we got back in, our average ended up being pretty decent. It was 95.44, I think. So I had to order out for pretty much all the shares. We had 320 shares at this point at 94.44, which pretty much would have broke us even on the entire trade. But as you can see, no pullback, went higher. So we cut it, ended up being a pretty nice loss, $700 loss. So that was fun. There was no part of me. Of course, I was calling that it was going to fake out breakout, which it kind of did, but ultimately didn't even get past this support area and then ended up going higher again. So for some reason, we don't cut it here. And for some stupid reason, we add size up here. I mean, maybe if we added size here, we take some off on this drop just because it was such a big drop and we would have been pretty green on it. But we would ended up cutting whatever we had left again for still a decent loss. And then obviously that ended up being the actual fake break. But even back here, when I was saying, even if I wanted to try this again, even if I get in for the break of this candle at 96.58, even for 100 shares, if we're wrong and it goes back to high day again, that's another $100. Like I was not going to jump in with that much size on something I would normally not have that much size just because we took a big loss. So I was proud of myself, but yet just sad at the same time because every part of me wanted to do this. I wanted to jump back in on this candle because to me, it was just so obvious what was happening. But it's just not my trade. And had it went back to high of day, had it faked that out a little bit and decided to continue higher because such a strong move down, it regained that whole move on the next candle and then started to go higher. The odds are, to me, it looks like it wants to go higher, even though it faked out through there and came back down at a pretty obvious candle once it broke and started to move down. I mean, that's the thing. I would have had to chase this. So I wouldn't even have had the 100. It would have been like 150, 200 that I would have been risking. Looking to make, 200-300 back. So it's, to me, that wasn't a great trade considering I would never trade that size if I was green. And then our last trade was ATUS. This was my favorite trade of the day, actually, because I pulled it up, it unhalted and I didn't get in. It was like kind of hovering around $11. And I was like, well, if it makes the big push up through 11 and tries to halt, I'll get in. So it did. We get in right before the halt at 11:40 and it halts at 11:65. Well, as it's about to unhalt, literally 10, 15 seconds, it's about to unhalt, my computer crashes. It just crashed. It just froze. No blue screen, nothing. It just froze. Like it wouldn't do anything. So it took me about 5 seconds to realize that we were like completely frozen. Mouse wasn't moving. My left screen like went all matrix on me. It like deformed, like distorted. So I immediately hard reset my computer. Takes my computer about 15, 20 seconds to reset. Well, by the time I get back and load up DOS, you can see it opened at 12, went up to 12:30, and per Thomas in the Discord said it sat above 12 for quite a while and then made this drop. And when I got back, it was literally, you see, it came down to 11:29. As I came back, it was going up through 11:50. So it was right after it came down and it was going back up through 11:50. Well, as you can see, it tried to go higher, 1194. I'm still holding at this point. And then it tries to come all the way back down, right to our average, but not far enough. At this point, I'm thinking, well, if it rejected there, the odds are we're going to go down towards 11. We do not get that. Instead, it starts to go higher. So my smart person, being smart, said, okay, hi, this candle's 1194. I'm just going to add, assuming that 1194 is not going to break. And if it does, we'll just cut it. So I add 100 shares. We had 100 to start. And then I think I add, I thought I only added 200. Yeah, I just added another 100. So we had 300 shares total. And then I end up cutting that because it does end up breaking that area. So it goes up, looks like it doesn't want to get to the highs again. It goes through 12 and kind of stalls for a second. So we get back in at 1208 for 150 shares this time. And then it tried to go lower. Just a little bit, got to 1204, and then it just sat at like 1220. And the halt price was at 1240 at this point. And you could almost just tell that someone was sitting there waiting for the halt price to go up. And literally, I kid you not, seconds before the halt price decides to move up, you can see the buying action come in to get it to go up to that 1240. And then like as they were buying to 1240, the halt price went up to 12, whatever it was, 1259, and it halted. So now I'm like, I've had a bad day already. This trade would have been awesome had I got the 100 add. We would have been at like 1175 with 200 shares. I'm definitely taking some off on this dip. Probably taking the rest off when it comes up to break even. Would have been a green trade. I definitely wouldn't have done this. Probably would have watched this halt and then probably would have tried this again after the unhalt. But because of how it all played out, now we're down. It was like $108. And we're in a halt with a bad average. I can't make this stuff up. All because my computer crashed and because I am totally still thinking about AKAM. As much as I wasn't thinking about AKAM, like it's still just the mood of your day is still there because of that type of trade. So it unhalts, it goes up. It pretty clearly runs into a wall here at 1320. We add 150. Once we realized that this is probably the top, the halt price was at like 1330. So, I mean, it could only go to that point. And at this point, I said, if it just goes straight up into that halt, I'm just going to cut it and we're just going to be done for the day. Cause that would have probably been like 250 or 300, right around what our daily max loss would have been anyway. So I decided to just go ahead and on the way back down here, I added double the size. So 150, then 300. So we had 600 shares. And then we get a nice drop. Now, keep in mind, on this drop, it went to 1250 and started to try to bounce. And I didn't have any orders out. So I was sitting here trying to hit the cover 50%, but the tape was moving so fast. It was like 1150, 1170, 1180, 1150, 1160, 1180. Like it was going so fast that I wanted to make sure when I hit the button, it was below my average at least. And then when I finally did, I saw like 1150 on the ask pop up, like 1158 or whatever. That's when I hit it. And I think, what did we get filled? We got filled or 1250, sorry, not 11. Here's the one. Here it is. We ended up getting filled 1263. Then it dropped down to like 1240, but then it was real spready at this time as well. It was like 1240 by 1260, and it kind of hung there for a second. And then I saw the bid starting to creep up really quick, not creep up, but it started to go up really fast. So I hit the button and it actually filled me another half, which was 150 shares at 1259. And then as it started to come back down again, it sat there at like 1240 by 1250. And it looked like it was trying to go back up through 1250 again. It kept bouncing off that 1240. So I ended up taking another half and we got filled at 1250 because that's what was on the ask. and it did poke back. I remember it poked back through 1250, went to like 1270, and then it just slammed down into the halt. And we still had 75 shares. So when it unhalted, it went down. We actually had an order at 1122 and it went to 1133. So I ended up just dragging this order up. It got filled at 1143. I was really trying to hold the rest, seeing if we could actually get like a full push back down. And it finally broke. You can see there's a pretty clear line here: 29, 34, 33, 32. And then finally we break it, right? We went all the way down to 20, but it wicked right back up and started to climb. So to me, that looks like they were just trying to get all the long stops here before we move up. So I ended up taking half off again just to be safe. So now we're just holding 25 shares, average still way up there. So not really worried about that. And then as we were coming back down, I was trying to get through 11. We actually had an order just to take the whole thing off at like 1085, I think it was, but it couldn't break 11. So on the way back up, we took 15 of the 25 shares that we had off at 1120. As you can see, it did try to go higher. At this point, I just put a trailing stop in of 75 cents, I think it was, and I'm just going to leave it. So if it wants to go all the way back down, we can make an extra like 20 bucks if it wants to come all the way back down. But worst case scenario, our stop as of right now is right above these two previous candles here. So that's all I got. Pretty big red day. Pretty sad about it. Was pretty close to all-time highs yet again. And here we are. Another decent sized loss. I mean, other than the AKAM trade, pretty decent day. Even with the mess up here, we did make some of that back. Just frustrating. Just frustrating. Don't really have anything else to say. If you like what you're seeing, like and subscribe. I always appreciate the support. If you do have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them down below. You can find me in Discord, find me over on Twitter. And I'll be here tomorrow. Peace.